defense, man, you want to talk about this Deion Sanders thing real quick? Because everybody seems to have an opinion on the fact that Deion Sanders left Jacksonville State University. What did you think about that? And we're going to take a little sports segue real quick before we get back into the hip hop.
I find Bomani Jones' take to be a little disconcerting, and here's why.
Well, review to people what Bomani Jones' take is for the people who may not have seen it.
I mean, Bomani Jones' take is essentially that he's pretty much saying Dion sold us the same set of wolf tickets that the white man sells us. Okay? And I don't think that's a fair contextualization, because here's what you don't have. You don't have white men going to depraved institutions and reviving them, for one. Okay?
Jackson State. I'm sorry. I said Jacksonville. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have coaches donating portions of their salaries to make sure that facilities and other things are upkept and maintenance properly to actually compete and get viable prospects to want to come and play at these HBCUs. You don't have white men with large profiles like him going to lesser schools and doing that even on whatever level that you would find it to be comparable or compatible. And so, and I said this, I literally said this on, and I don't bring this up too often, I literally said this on an Instagram post. It's like, you know, when God moves, he can move in 30 seconds and change everything. He can move in 30 years and change everything. He can move things in 3 years at a HBCU. What I think Bomani's actually missing is that, you know, we might actually have some blueprint plans actually for how to help revive these institutions through the sports and academic programs. Because when he's saying, is there another Deion Sanders? No. Very few people are going to be the greatest of all time at their position and be good coaches, for one. Okay? So he is a one of one in that regard. But you're telling me there are other high-profile black men who are Hall of Fame athletes that wouldn't want some of the same opportunity and couldn't bring maybe not a Deion level of cachet. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But a level of cachet and viability to the program. And I can't stress this enough. You can't just have like the name and be a Hall of Famer. Like, you need to be a good coach. Deion's teams were winning. They just got done going undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
2 bowls in 3 years. And, you know, the first year is just, you know, changing the culture. You know what I mean?
And when people like, you know, Nick Saban, like stay at Michigan State for 3 or 4 years and then get a job at LSU, people like Bomani Jones, who are black media, never say a word when those people leave. So why is he making it a point to bring it up and bring the God thing up with Dion? You get what I'm saying? Like, these white dudes jump around like this every 3-4 years all the time, Mike. He never says anything. And they use the same whole God, guns, and country thing, and he doesn't say anything.
Well, you know, I think it's noteworthy that when Dion actually made his decision to come to Jackson State in the first place, Bomani Jones was one of the detractors that went out there and said that Dion was going to fail. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and I remember Dion responding to that too. You know, they had him on First Take and they showed a clip of Bomani on, forgot which show it was, where he said that, you know, Dion was going to fail. And so once he showed you in 3 years that, you know, he uplifted the program, they won 2 bowl games, and he went on to, you know, a situation that was just fiscally better for himself and his son. You still have the vitriol to go on CNN and still talk down? At no point did you say, you know what? I initially said that he was going to fail. I was wrong. He got 2 bowls out of this situation in 3 years. Raise the level and the profile of this university and this program and possibly other programs surrounding it, and then go forth with whatever your opinion is. But acknowledge the fact that you went out there and said that he was going to fail. And no stretch of the imagination in sports is winning 2 bowl games and getting 2 championships
in 3 years.
3 years.
Agreed.
Failure.
Hmm.
Define what failure is, Bomani, because right now you sound like a real hater. And I love that the fact that these situations come about because it really shows you who's who in the media and shows you what people's individual character is and the
Hmm.
people that they have a, a bug in their ass for. Like, what's your problem with Dion, man? Isn't he
Well,
from Atlanta? Isn't Bomani from Atlanta? I spent time out here.
I thought it was North Carolina. I thought
Oh,
he's in
okay.
my
I
home
think he
state.
went to school out here.
I think he's in North Carolina right now.
Yeah. Let me get to the
So,
super chats real quick. LP with the super chat says it's because KD3 is a full body of work and is selling more than her loss. Where the difference comes is the amount of streams for individual songs have. Okay, I can see that.
Mhm.
Let's see. And Mad Max with the super chat says, "Man, I'm with Dion. JSU allegedly was skimming money from the football program. Everybody want to talk about HBCU this, HBCU that. That black people love holding everyone accountable except themselves." Shout
Mm.
out to Andrew Green with the super chat says the $20 super chat. Good looking, good looking. Says one thing I don't hear people talking about is about benefiting Nas. Output is in this era. Him only having to do 2 verses instead of 3. It saves time, effort, and crafting concepts for songs, like load management for top tier MCs of his caliber. I could see that. That's an interesting take. And Mad Max also says they had a deal that if he sold out games, they would give him a bonus. But it comes out that they were stealing his money. We all up in arms when others take from us, but never call out our own when they're taking from us. Um, you know what? This is what I will say, and I think that I mean, I could go on a long diatribe about this. I went to HBCU, at least my freshman year. Shout out to Alabama State. Love the folks over there, right? But let's just be real. A lot of the management and people who are high up in many of these HBCUs are inadequate. And hold on, it said I
Well,
missed
let's
the LP super chat. Hold on, where's the LP super chat that I missed before I get into this? I thought I
hold on,
just
yeah, because
said
I got a
this.
few things I wanted to say about the Bomani thing.
Okay, no, you go ahead. Let me oh no,
No,
I
find
did
LP
miss
super
one.
chat
LP
first.
says no, I said that. It's cause KD yeah. I said that about the body of work. Go ahead, Coop.
So I guess my thing with, and I didn't know all of that, Mike. That's very. I didn't know that he said that Dion was going to fail. But what you'll find is that this is what I mean. And I've been, watching Bomani Jones on ESPN on a variety of shows. He seems very opinionated about this Dion thing. It's like, but no, but where are you when these white coaches are selling these dreams and coming into black living rooms and houses and homes and selling the same dreams and not donating portions of their salary?
Well, he has a
Not
problem with Dion clearly, and
right.
and he's not
No, so
holding everybody on the same level. And I think it's very sad for somebody who is a legend of the stature that Deion Sanders is in sports. Period. To have somebody like a Bomani Jones be super critical of that. I mean,
well,
it's
well,
like
well,
what?
it's not that. Well, this is what I'm saying. And so there's something about it doesn't sit well. And here's what I mean. He's raised the profile of not just Jackson State, but he's highlighted actually some of the inadequacies and injustices that black institutions, black collegiate institutions, historically black colleges need to rectify. Like he has highlighted these things. He hasn't been just sitting there while he's been winning football games. He's actually been highlighting the things that need to be done. He's been contributing to them financially. He's been helping make young men into grown men and graduate while he's doing this on top of winning football games. Like he just got done doing so many things in these 3 years' times. Show me a white man that's went to a collegiate institution in the last 50 years and turned things around systemically, institutionally, and on a winning and on a financial level the way Deion Sanders just did. And to have a black man come out on one of the biggest platforms, CNN, a worldwide platform, not just here in the States, but a worldwide platform, and like do that, it's like he's part of the problem, Mike.
And then you got people.
He's the reason that we don't have here black men like him.
Well,
So you're the problem.
honestly,
Deion not the problem. Bomani's the problem.
in my opinion, many of the Boule, and I would consider Bomani a Boule Negro.
Boo.
Many of the Boule
How about this?
are
Boo,
the
boo.
problem.
That's what they are. Boo boo.
The Boule are the problem. You feel like that you're above the rest of black society.
Yeah.
You feel like since you got on this platform, your word is bond. And then the fact that people are out here sharing this shit that he's saying, like he's speaking facts or something. Bottom line is, bro, what you need to do, if we want to really talk about accountability here, the people that need to be held accountable is the people that are high up in these HBCUs who aren't able to pay a person like Dion to continue the course that he's going on. He gave you everything you needed to be able to pay him moving forward. You know what I'm saying? So what people want? You want him to go out here and continue to have to contribute his salary to an institution and turn down $5 million a year? What?
You want him to turn into Eddie Robinson and people have to remind white culture of who he is every year? You get what I'm saying?
Well, see, I don't even like the whole Eddie Robinson thing, because what people got to understand, that's just like the 70s and shit, man. HBCUs were different then. It's different. This is a whole different era. You're not, it was easier to thrive in HBCUs in the 60s and 70s because that's the only schools the blacks could go to. Man, you know what I mean? Here. So it's different then. It's different ball game.
These white coaches, they play House of Pain, Mike. Jump around.
Yeah.
Okay? They jump around. What's his name? Hugh Freeze, who got in trouble in the SEC? I think 5, 7, 8 years ago, Mike, he's right back in the SEC as a coach. Right now, he just got back in.
Well, this is what I want to speak on, though. I think an opportunity was missed by Jackson. So let's just say Jackson knew they were getting Deion Sanders, who is a mega star who didn't have to be doing this in the first place, right? Let's just say they get him, and then everybody that's on board, everybody who are the alumni, the boards, and everybody who's involved in the athletic program, they hit the ground running. They're like, yo, we got Dion here. We need to get our merch together. We need to get our Jackson swag together. We need to, make sure that we're able to get sponsorships. Boom, boom, boom. So when the time comes and he's successful with this, then we'll be able to pay him. Let's just say hypothetically, they did everything they were supposed to do financially and took advantage of everything that Dion brought to this program, the winning on top of that, right? Because bowl games are money as well. Let's just say they were able to pay him. Then you're going to see more top tier black athletes go back and, be coaching these HBCU universities. And they're going to be able to have that recruiting power as well. Then you get more competitive. If this were the opportunity to pay somebody for their work, and if they could have done that, this would have been a trickle-down effect. What a huge opportunity missed.
But this is what I mean. It's a huge opportunity missed, but it can still even out, because here's the thing. When somebody like Dion, with his profile and his cachet, steps down and steps into the doldrums of a HBCU college football program and literally resurrects it, okay? When somebody of his caliber does that, what you have when a man like that leaves your program is examples of what went right and what went wrong to go off of business-wise, financially, institutionally, academically, as far as recruiting. He just gave you a whole blueprint. And so when people are like, well, God said he sent them there, it's like, okay, God sends people sometimes literally to do one thing. Like Mike.
Did God send him to ESPN, or was the check right?
In the Bible, God asked a prostitute to do one thing for one night, and she got put in the bloodline of Jesus. She was a prostitute her whole life. You get what I'm saying? And so when people are talking this whole God thing and the whole 3 years thing, it's like, oh, well, go to church or maybe read, because it's like that's not how it works at all. Like at all. That's not how it works.
Again, I think anybody
Like God
mad.
didn't sign a contract with you. You know what I'm saying? Like it says, you want to know it. Okay, so I'm sending you to Jackson State for 5 years,
Yeah.
7 days,
No one's asking like
48 hours and 66 minutes.
and
No,
no one's
nobody.
asking like, yo, what did Jackson State offer? Did they make a counter? So he's just supposed to sit there and take $150,000 a year and
He don't
selling
need the
out
money.
these games, winning bowl
No,
game after bowl game, and turn down a $5 million opportunity. And oh yeah, where his son's able to play quarterback for this institution. Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
we do understand that this is not about the money. We know who we're talking about, right?
I
Like the
mean,
fact that even money's being bought into this, and that's another thing that I didn't like that Bomani brought him up. Because here's the thing, and I want you to understand how he did this twofold. Hold on, Mike. Let me say this. He
yeah.
said they're probably paying him 15 times what the HBCU was paying him. This is while the AD is coming out saying we don't even have the money to pay Dion right now. And understand, why is a money conversation being had that's degrading the black institution more? Again, when you're immediately coming out in 15-1, saying 15-1, well, show me the numbers, Bomani, that you've looked up that says that Colorado is about to pay 15-1 more than Jackson State. Like, show me where you have those viable numbers to make that comment on national live syndicated TV on CNN to say that. And that puts down the black institution. And then the AD of Colorado is literally saying, well, we don't even have the money to pay this man yet. And
But
why
we
are we
get
talking
it.
about money when we talking about Deion Sanders, who's been living in Texas tax-free post-retirement after making millions of dollars in endorsements, in baseball, with the best union in America in baseball? He was an Atlanta Brave and a Cincinnati Red and a New York Yankee, if memory serves. And football, like, stop playing. This is not a money conversation. You
It's
understand
not,
this?
I mean, again,
Why is his bag even being bought up?
at the end of the day, Bomani got paid to go on CNN, or at least
Agent.
use that CNN opportunity for some more money. So anytime anybody is at work, they should be compensated for what they're doing. I don't like them sitting there pulling that out there, because at the end of the day, this man's giving his time, effort. He has a family. You know what I'm saying? So
Agent work
if
going on.
he's going out, he's supposed to go out there and work for free because he's been successful in another career. Jerry Jones and them go out there and make money every single day. That's what they're supposed to do. They're doing work. So I don't even think the money part of it's a conversation. It's like, why didn't Jackson have the money to pay him? And why don't HBCUs have the money? He did everything you could do to attract the money. He got you top recruits. He got one of the top recruits, the receiver that was supposed to go to Alabama. Got that. Got you the sponsors. Got you the bowl games. Got you television. Now, what else do you need to get money to be able to pay somebody who can bring in revenue? And if you
But what
can't
I'm
do
saying,
anything like that, then why are you even here?
do you understand that this man could live in Atlanta, Dallas, and San Francisco for the rest of his days for free if he wanted to, pretty much?
Yeah,
Like
it's
off,
not
off
about that.
reputation. Right, it's not. So this
Because
is not
at
a
the
money
end of the day,
conversation.
Coop, somebody making money. Let's just say if this nigga went out there and coached
We don't do
motherfuckers
this
for
when Nick
free,
Saban's getting money or
somebody's making money.
When Urban Meyer and Nick Saban are getting money, when Pete Carroll's getting money, when Bill Belichick's getting money, when these dudes is getting money, we're not sitting up there having these conversations.
Yeah. I mean, at the end, like I said, they're giving results which are bringing in the money. But we expect, since Dion is Dion and has had a successful career, for him to go out there working for free and make everybody else some money. No, that's not how it works. Everything that he brought to the table brought in money, and he should be compensated for that. And no one should sit here and shame him for the fact that he took an opportunity where somebody was willing to compensate him for the work he's done. LP with the super chat says, "You're right, Mike. Jackson should have capitalized. They have the right colors and to sell too. FAMU just had JS go for 300. They should have built up on their brand. Yeah, this was a branding opportunity. This is an opportunity for a lot of things." CJ Kidd with the super chat, $20 super chat. Good looking. He says, "Coop, you have so much knowledge in many vast areas in life, religion, business, and entertainment. how do you retain all of this information, and how long did it take you to study all of it, and keep all of your keep it all in your mind forever?
I read it over and over again.
Read it and
My whole
retain
life,
it.
I'm always growing. I'm always reading.
But yeah,
I'm always reading.
I guess my question to you and to whoever is like, why doesn't Jackson have the money to pay him?
I mean, there there could be a myriad of reasons why. Some of them are probably, you
Why?
know, I mean, they probably have misappropriated some of the funds, quite frankly.
You know, let's just keep
Yeah.
it real, man. If that's always going to be the story with HBCUs, man, like at what point do people buck back on this, man? Because the tuition's not going down for these students. People paying like 20
Okay,
G's to go
so
to
this
these
is what I mean.
schools,
Okay,
man.
so structurally, so hold on. Was he put? Let's just talk about the business of college football. Is a black HBCU located in Mississippi? Like, what level would you rank the competition level capabilities of the facilities, the infrastructure, the people who are responsible for maintaining the organization and the infrastructure, the recruiting? You get what I'm
I
saying?
mean, the
Y'all
city
are
doesn't
expecting,
have clean
like
water,
one
so
man cannot come in and fix a job that's built for 50 people in a
of
various
course. And then
amount of
they
ways.
expect him to fix the whole HBCU system. He's in a
Right.
city that doesn't even have clean water currently.
Thank
So
you.
what do you want him to do?
Right. Like, what
He's
is he
sitting
supposed
out
to do
here.
that he
He's
didn't
sitting
do
here
already?
donating his
Like,
salary to
like,
clean water. Shit that the government should be doing. Shit that the water department should be doing. And y'all expect him to do that.
and quite frankly, he's helping making, you know, boys into men where fathers are not present in the home as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's doing so many things. It's like, how much do you want this man to do?
Bomani a sucker for this. I'm sorry, man. I'm just calling what
I'm
it
like,
is. I mean, really,
Mike,
understanding the whole, because he understands more about sports than we do. And he understands the background. He probably understands the players involved. Not talking about the players on the field, but the people you don't see. And
yep.
you know what Jackson's going through as a city and what that Mississippi area is going through as a city. And the fact that this man was able to uplift this program that you said he was going to fail at, and then led them to two bowls, and the administration didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they lost this great talent in Dion, and now you want to sit here and patronize him on a
No, think about
platform that
this.
never invites you on?
I want you to understand this. This is what God asked great men to do. He asked us to lead. Did Dion just not lead? You get what I'm saying? He asked that you donate your time. He asked that you donate your money. He asked that you give to the poor.
He did all those things.
Like, this is what I'm saying. It's like it's about as biblical as it gets, Mike, in terms of the order of how a man is supposed to behave in a situation that is less than stellar. It is literally like what you get called to do as a man in order with God. It's like, no. Take this piece of dirt, we're going to make some clay, and then we're going to make, and we're going to mold and we're going to shape like from scratch.
He was bringing
Like with
Snoop
integrity
Dogg
and
to the.
like we don't we don't have no situation like the former Boston Celtics coach going on with Dion. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we
No,
ain't getting none of that going on. Like, he is literally turning these boys into men.
no. The only way that they're bashing Dion is the fact that he took more money somewhere else. What I was gonna say was, man, he was bringing stars to these guys' locker rooms. I mean, you seeing Snoop Dogg out there. I think he brought a billionaire to come out there and talk to the kids and things of that nature. My other question would be, what are other HBCUs doing during that 3 year period to say, you know what, let me reach out to this athlete or this athlete to possibly be a part of the program as well, since
Hold
we're
on.
seeing how successful this is? Because Dion was bringing on other black athletes to be a part of his coaching staff as
I
well.
want you to think about this. In the very same state, there is a whole welfare issue going on with Brett Favre. Now, why the hell CNN ain't called Bomani Jones to talk about Brett Favre skimming off the top, in the middle, and at the bottom
Well, that's
ass?
not what Bomani is put in place for.
But
He
is
is
he
put
not a
on
sports
television.
commentator? Is Brett Favre not a former
No,
quarterback? Is this not the
I
same damn
understand
state?
what you're saying, but people like Bomani Jones get on ESPN and keep their jobs by
Mm-mm-mm.
talking about people like Dion and not people like Brett Favre.
Mm-mm-mm.
That's just the bottom line. Mad Max with the super chat says they have the money. They also stole the money from him. I mean, so listen. At the end of the day, man, somebody has to ask, like, where does this HBCU mystery money go? Where it seems like they can't pay for anything, and they always have to ask, you know, the president for money. Seems like, and the president of the United States, that is. No, not having alumni endowment is one thing, but again, that's kind of a reflection on your graduation rate and the success rate of people who graduate from your institution, right? So that's one thing. But we see here in this Dion situation, this man came here 3 years, 2 bowl games, brought all kind of attention to the program, brought television deals that weren't there before, brought all kind of notoriety, and still have no money. I mean, at this point, it's like, okay, well, what do y'all expect to be done? You know, we were just talking about the whole Chris Brown thing and getting canceled from, you know, the AMAs and all that stuff for the Michael Jackson thing. Like, you know how dope would it be if, you know, Jackson State had Chris Brown come out there and perform at their halftime and things like that? Like, there's so many things that could be done at these institutions, but it comes across that either the people who are in charge aren't trying or they aren't adequate enough to get it done. I mean, it's one of the two. But see, when you say stuff like that, people think you're being mean, but you gotta hold people accountable. I'm sorry. This was a really, really bad misstep letting Dion go on to other pastures.
So I think it was a misstep, but this is what I'm saying is that, do you see how much time we're spending talking about Dion because Bomani went up on CNN as a black man and said what he said? Meanwhile, in Texas, photos of Jerry Jones at a segregationist rally.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Mississippi, Brett Favre stealing from the poorest state in the nation. CNN's not calling any black sports anchors or commentators to comment on that now.
Or the fact that they don't have clean water. You know, all that other stuff is whatever, but the fact that you have an administration that's given tons and tons of bread to a whole nother country, and you have a state right here in the States that just won a bowl game that doesn't have clean water. I mean, it's similar to, you know, the vice president's alumni out there at Howard University having to sleep outside because the dorms didn't have adequate living conditions at Howard University, another HBCU. Like, explain these things.
It's funny how the money never makes it to these institutions that, never mind. That's a whole nother institutional conversation for another day, I think.
It's funny that the VP said nothing about this while this was going on. I take that personal. If my child were going to that university and you talk about selling somebody a dream. You sell people on this whole HBCU culture and dream experience, and you get to school and you don't even have a fucking dorm to sleep in. That's selling somebody a dream that they paid for, by the way. LP with the super chat says they used the money to get Favre's daughter a new court. Yeah. Jay Short with the super chat said HBCUs need to focus on building the investing in STEM studies because those are the alumni who can donate. Ivy League schools operate like a business.
I agree with that. Yes, this is what I mean about. So, how about this?
How do they start doing that, though?
Well, here's what really happens.
You need adequate people in charge that are going to be able, you know what I'm saying, initiate
Well, this is what I mean about having blueprint plans. You got to start seeking out bigger fish than what you're seeking and stop settling if you're these black institutions. We need. How about this? You need
They oh, I
somebody.
want to piggyback on that. They have
Hold on.
settled with the fact that they're bottom of the barrel. They're cool with that.
Well, they're not that. But what I'm saying is that well, blacks go to Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Cornell and Cal Berkeley and Columbia. And why are you not sourcing these people out to come back and help your institution as professors, business people, accounts? You get what I'm saying?
because because Coop, they have nothing to offer them. We see this in the Dion situation. This nigga's a legend. Not only did he not have to come here, he came here and gave you everything you needed to build on to be able to keep him. And they couldn't compensate him. So
But
there's
now that
no
you're
way
not,
you could
so,
compensate somebody like
so you
that.
got blessed and you weren't ready, but now get ready.
They're not ready. I'm sorry. Because at this point, like you said, Colorado even said that they didn't have the money. They could have actually made some sort of statement like, listen, we want to counter whatever, whatever. We'll get the money. They didn't even do that. Jay Short with the super chat says, I don't want to hear about SWAC not having network deals and all these streaming sites out here. If you're a college and you can figure out how to broadcast your games, HBCU leadership is incompetent. Yeah, there's so many streaming platforms out here that would show these games. I think
This is what I'm saying.
the Grio's
HBCU
doing it.
leadership might be How about this? I'm going to tell you how. I'm going to give you maybe something I can try to compare it to. Do you remember when I told you that as far as our black TV networks and award shows and how I feel like we need to take whoever is in position of power and give them severance packages and tell them to go the fuck home and not come back and put some new fresh young blood in there that's going to get some new age and new found like results and ground and traction and get people excited and actually put some money on the books and numbers on the boards and get things cracking the way that they should be here in 2022. Like the same way I feel that way about the black media and network is the same way I feel about the HBCU. And so when you're saying they're incompetent, no, I'm agreeing. I'm just telling you that, I'm not big on firing people. So I believe in severance packages, but people got to go because this is part of what is wrong with us. I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you everything that's wrong with the mentality of the black community in one synopsis. I can never forget when I was riding with my first realtor when me and my ex-wife were looking for our first home that we were going to purchase because we were renting one at the time. I'm riding with the realtor and she tells me, I'll never forget, it's Shirley. Shirley's husband was an engineer at Dobbins. She didn't even have to be selling real estate, okay? She's like, Armand, she said, the average person buys a new home every 7 to 10 years until they usually get to their third or fourth house when they're in their 40s and their 50s. And then they build off of what they call their forever home. I looked back at Shirley and I said, Shirley, black people don't do that shit. I said, we're lucky if we buy a house and have it in our name before 40 and then we'll spend 30, 40 years paying it off. And she looked back at me. She was like, I know. She said, it's one of the saddest things that I've seen. It's the mentality of it. You get what I'm saying? The people that were really playing the game is what she was saying. And she was saying this to me as a younger black man. She was like, no, stop getting locked into that forever frame of mind. Like you hire somebody at 25 and you let them hold the position till they're 65 and you wonder what happens institutionally to your program. You get what I'm saying? Like you got to look at it like a market and like a businessman. And it's like the reality of the matter. A house is not just a place where you live. It's an investment. HBCU is not just a college. It's a business.
It's
and
an
therefore
investment,
an
but you have
investment
to invest
and
in
an
the
asset.
students.
And you have to deal with it as such. So
But
every
cool.
7 to 10 years, you need to be flipping and pushing this weight.
But this is the thing, the investment is the students. And if you don't invest in the student experience and you got kids out here who can't even live in their dorms because they got molds in the shower in the dorm room and they have to sleep outside in tents, that's not adding to the collegiate experience. Not to mention, you got the vice president of the United States who is alumni at that school and not doing anything about that. Now, I agree with you going, you know what I'm saying, actually, clean a house, but it's kind of a hard sell when, like I said, you have the vice president of the United States who went to your school, and you got students out here sleeping in tents because of the dorm rooms aren't livable, and she's not saying anything about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. It's like, damn, if this were happening over at Stanford, this would be worldwide news, right?
Exactly.
And
But
that's not just on the administration. That's on everybody, the alumni, the media, everything. There was only one media outlet covering that shit. And I remember
you're
they had the dude this over education in the United States. I forgot his title. They had him on the Breakfast Club, and I think Charlemagne asked him about that Howard situation, and he act like he didn't know anything about it. It's like, I have to check into that. You're lying. You know. If I know, you know. This is your fucking job. Like, and the vice president went to this school. So they don't care all around. It's not even just the people who are in place. And like you said, I agree. You need some young energy in there, but you also need to build that young energy with the young people that are going through those doors. Because nobody wants to be in radio anymore because nobody grew up listening to radio. That's why they can't get no young people. And
that's
nobody's
because
gonna want to head up these institutions because their experience, their student experience was trash.
well, this is exactly what I mean. So what you really have, and here's one of the real evils of the black community that we as blacks don't talk about: how we separate in class from each other. So you're talking about that Howard student that's literally sleeping outside because the dorms aren't livable. Well, show me the dean of students and show me how old the dean of students is and how the dean of students, who is also a black individual, and show me how they're living and what circles they're running in. And I'll tell you, it's the same problem in the white community that we see. You got people like Donald Trump selling the impoverished the dream, and people react in kind because they feel like something's keeping them from having that lifestyle when it's really their own that's keeping them back. We can be our own worst enemy sometimes, but this is what I mean when I say this. People trying to act like, Mike, we've been free for a long time. Like, Mike, we've only been free legally since 1965. It's 2022. These white people have been free since Plymouth Rock. We're not playing the same game. We literally over 300 years behind on some things. And we need to behave as a community as such. That's the problem. We behave, we let them feed us this bullshit like there's some balance that doesn't exist. We are literally 300, 350 years behind. Act like it.
But again, where does the
Act like
money
you're
go?
350 years behind.
Cause cool, they treating these schools like they the projects. People are paying like 30, 40, sometimes $50,000 to go there. So where does this money go?
Not my daughter.
Where does this money go? No, I mean, I'm just saying, if we want to preserve HBCUs and they're that important culturally, this, that, and the third, I get that. But where's the money going? And why, when somebody like a Dion can come and bring all kind of fanfare and bring all kind of money to your school, you can't pay him? Oh, and when he leaves, it's a problem. Oh, he was in it for the money.
No,
Money was being made.
I just told you where the money was, Mike. I just said, where's the dean of students and how is the dean of students living, as opposed to how I'm showing you, like go show me the staff and go show me the staff's houses and cars and the people connected and the people who donate to the university. Go show me those people and I'll show you where the money went.
Well, see,
Show me those people.
Well, see,
pull up the
Bomani
people
should
up
have
on the
been.
list, pull up the addresses to their homes. Go look at the property value of their homes and their vehicles and their assets, and I'll show you where the money is.
Well, why wasn't Bomani on CNN talking about them instead of the person who actually brought the money?
Well, that would be very problematic for him keeping his motherfucking job.
LP with the super chat says, Mike, the same thing that's happening to HBCUs is exactly what would have been happening with the Negro League, to go back to an earlier episode. I disagree with that 100% because the Negro League was actually black owned and black operated, whereas HBCUs are not black owned. They're not. That's why they're always asking for money. That's why they're always having to get money. When you're talking about the Negro League, this was a self-contained league that was making its own money. So I don't see the correlation other than the fact that, it got Negro in the name.
You don't want no smoke with Mike on the Negro League talk. I've been trying to tell y'all. Y'all don't want to do it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, for those on the chat, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. The disciplines that keep the world running and make the most money. I agree with that, Jay Short. But see, the thing is, you have to be able to invest in those kind of students. And I don't think that, I mean, look, if they're not willing to continue to continuously invest in Deion Sanders, who is a legend, who was able to bring money straight to their front door, they're not
Look,
willing to invest in the proposed student in math and science. It's an investment conversation. They didn't even have to invest in Dion. Dion
hold
said,
on.
"Look,
I
I'll
think,
do
hold
y'all
on.
solid. I'll work for the minimum over here, and I'll bring y'all some money." And
With
they couldn't
all
even
due
do that.
Mike, with all due respect, before it's that conversation, I truly do believe it's an assets and liabilities conversation first. What are your assets? What are your liabilities? Move accordingly as a business.
Hey,
Period. Deion Sanders, number one asset. People running the institution, number one liability. Who do you cut? Who do you keep? You feel me? Dion, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. See, this is what I mean. The president should have came down. It should have been like, hey, Dion, the boosters want to keep you here. And to keep you here, liability, such and such over here that makes $150,000. Liability over here that makes $300,000. Liability over here that has we're gonna cut those three liabilities, supplement your bonus structure to keep you here at least another year while we financially prepare ourselves to find a way to develop everything that you bought to us.
exactly.
That's what needed to happen. But maybe somebody, that's what I'm saying. But maybe, and I hate to say this, maybe you need a black man with a Harvard business school degree to come down to your HBC institution and tell you that for you to take it seriously. The same way you needed Dion to come down. That's what I'm saying.
They're not
I know it's
stupid.
bad to say, Mike, and you feel like, no, we shouldn't have to do all that. I ain't talking about what we shouldn't have to do. I'm talking about what needs to get done.
No, this is where I'm at with it. Somebody is keeping these people in place for a reason.
It's very
Somebody is
nice.
okay with the fact that money is just going to nowhere, and they're fine with that. I don't
It's
understand.
not going in. It's not going nowhere, Mike.
It's going
We
somewhere.
know where it's Mike. We know where it's going.
Allegedly.
Like, why are we playing? Why are we
That's
playing?
what
We
I'm
know where it's
saying.
going.
But
Like I said,
somebody up top, because like I said, these schools aren't black owned. They're not. You know what I'm
they
saying?
learn.
They're so the money's going somewhere, and whoever's really in charge is okay with that. And they're okay with the fact that they're gonna let somebody like Dion walk, who could have brought the institution even more money in this over a 10-year tenure than he did in that 3-year tenure. Because they're not going to get this again. Like you said, there's no more Deion Sanders is
you
out
have to
there.
understand.
It's
That's what I'm
not.
saying. But when you're talking about people that's like living on an estate that probably costs more than one of those dilapidated buildings on Howard's campus, you feel what I'm saying? You ask where the money is. Oh, we know where the money is.
Yeah, it
Why are
is
we
what it
playing these
is.
type of games?
But see, again, when I
We
say
gotta
these
stop
type of
playing games and
things,
start being honest with each other.
when
People are out here stealing money from their own, and it's rich elite black people doing it too.
it's the
Not just
boule.
rich,
It's the
right? It's
boule.
not just rich white elitists that steal from their own. No, rich blacks have learned from the rich whites here and steal from their own too. It's habitual. They're habitual line
Well,
steppers.
see, the rich black that you're talking about works for the richer white. So that's what that is. But what I'm
That
going to
appears to
say,
be infinite here in America.
but see, what I'm going to say is the fact that whenever I talk about these things with HBCUs, people just say, oh man, you're hating on HBCUs again, this and that. This Dion situation is no way around it. It's no way around it. And the fact that Bomani Jones actually went up there on CNN to go out there and criticize Dion in this situation when he already had said that Dion was going to fail before he even started. It's like, are y'all all working together, Bomani? Come on, bro.
I don't know, Mike. We ain't had to slide. We haven't had to slide on a sports journalist until now.
And I only say that because I like Bomani's
The slide on
takes
this
and
fool. I
stuff, you
don't. Not
know?
after this.
No, not
That's
after
what I'm
this, but
saying.
I'm saying
This is where I
before
start
this.
drawing the line. It's
Yeah,
like, no, hold on, no. We got a list at the barbecue. It's like circle his name. We're
right.
gonna have to check his identification and his paperwork next time.
Well,
he
it's
pulls
clear
up
who
to
he
the
works
barbecue.
for. And
Hmm?
anybody, I'm sorry, man. You can have your opinion, this, that, and the third. But
Been hanging out with
anybody
Stacey
who is
Dash or something? Like, what's going
but
on? What?
anybody who's taking on this subject with a certain angle, you look real suspicious right now.
Looking like a character out
Yeah,
here in a play. You know what I'm saying? Whole
yeah.
actor.
Esquire with the super chat says, "I implore you both to read up on the decades-long heirs lawsuit, discrimination in funding, involving former Mississippi Governor Kurt Forsyth. Context matters." Yeah, I want to check that out. I need
Okay.
to.
Well, first of all, it's
Yeah,
Esquire
the heirs.
601. 601 is Mississippi, and
Yeah.
Esquire is attorney, so that might be an attorney from Mississippi
Oh yeah,
telling us.
Esquire is an attorney. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, then
Esquire
it says
wins our
601.
trivia every
601 is
single week.
Mississippi, if I'm not correct.
Is it? Okay. Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe
yeah. I'm gonna
so. So
definitely
that
check
might be
that
a
out, Esquire.
Mississippi born attorney telling us that we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to
I'm gonna
read
check
up
that
on
out.
something.
Shout out to
Very
Web Visibility with the twenty
that
dollars
down
super
right
chat.
now.
Good looking. He says it really comes down to the culture created by leadership. According to Forbes, Spelman College and Benedict College, which are attended by Black women, both have nearly 39% alumni giving rate, amongst the highest in the U.S. Yeah, I know some Spelman folks that raise a lot of money, and but
500 million.
again, the thing
Oh,
is, those institutions have to be able to produce alumni that are going to get jobs that are going to allow them to have the capital to invest back into their institution.